Hi, I'm Alexa. I'm going to do a little thing different today. I'm going to talk about the first time I ever went to the EFC NYC Supporters Club bar in New York City. It's quite a while ago, over a decade, and the bar is not the same bar as it currently is now. Unfortunately, the bar we went to at first did close down, so we found our home at it's a fellow Everton fan who owns it, and Turnmill. It was like, oh my gosh, my brain just went blank. Turnmill is the current bar. The bar that I first went to was called Mr. Dennehy's, and it was down on Carmine Street in the West Village. And I saw something today from someone I follow, and they were talking about it the first time they're taking themselves out to eat at a sit-down restaurant. They've always only ever gone out with other people. And it struck me like, it's insane to me that people, especially women, don't take themselves out if they want to go to a restaurant and they don't have someone to go with. Like, just go. Just go. But then I started thinking about it, and I thought about when I was younger and dealing with most specifically PTSD, but some other stuff as well. And I would have trouble leaving the house, and also some of those societal notions that are sort of pushed on us or programmed into us as kids, that it really is, or was, I hope, was a taboo for women to go out on their own and eat at a restaurant. Like, a man at a restaurant eating dinner, like, oh, he's a distinguished bachelor. Like, no one blinks an eye. But a woman, there's a whole lot of thoughts that come up and a whole lot of stereotypes out there about what that might mean about that woman. Honestly, it means she's hungry and enjoys her own company. That's all it means, right? Like, she's in control of herself enough, or confident in herself, to go out there and have her dinner on her own and not deal with other people with her. I was younger. I was definitely more insecure, and I was also dealing, as I said, with the anxiety and PTSD that was rough. I heard about this bar probably months, but definitely weeks before I actually went. Now, I will say, I think I heard about it at the end of one season, and there were only like a couple of games left, and then we had the summer break. So it wasn't like I could go during most of that time, but I don't think I went to the very first game of the new season when it did start. I think it was a few in until I actually got up the courage to go. If you knew or ever had been to Mr. Dennehy's, when you walk in the door, it was wide enough for the door, a table, and then a booth. And then it sort of narrowed, and it was very long and got very narrow towards the end. So as you walked in, you had that table in the booth, and then you had the bar, which was maybe 20 feet long. I'm not quite sure of the length. That was on the left. Then it had the walkway with the bar seats at the bar, and then on the opposite wall, it had this really nice long bench seat that was at bar height, with bar height tables along there. So I told myself the whole way there, if you get a bad feeling when you walk in, you'll just turn around and walk back out. You don't even have to order anything. You can, maybe if you stay for 10 minutes and order one drink, you'll be fine. And if you still don't like it, then you can leave. I was coming up with all of these things to sort of convince myself to just walk in the door, and it was fine. So I walk in the door, I see what it looks like. I sit at the very first, well, it's not even the seat. I sat in the very corner of this long bench seat, as close to the door as I possibly could. At the other end of the bench seat, I don't remember if anyone else was sitting on the bench seat, but there was sort of an area where you could stand. It wasn't very big, but there were also some people sitting at the bar and then some people standing in that area. And I could tell that at least that group had a bunch of Everton fans in. It was maybe 8 people, maybe 9. It wasn't many. It wasn't one of the big games where you get big turnout. It was probably someone in the bottom 5 or 6 of the league that we were playing. People don't show up for those games. I think there were a couple of guys sitting right in front of me at the bar, but they weren't really watching the game, and I think they left halfway through. They were just there for brunch. I don't remember if anyone was at the table by the window next to the door. I don't remember. I don't even remember who we were playing. Like, I was so overwhelmed by the experience of being in the bar, taking myself there, doing something so outside of my norm, that I was processing what the bar was like and who the people were, and really I was focusing on the Everton group of Everton supporters that I could tell were watching and enjoying the game. The game in New York is normally it's either at 7:30 a.m. if it's the early game on a Saturday, 10 a.m. if it's the 3 p.m. kickoff, or 12:30 if it's 5:30 kickoff UK time. Clock, like spring forwards, fall back time, there's an area in there where it's only 4-hour difference, but most of the year it's 5 hours. So this must have been a 10 a.m. game, possibly a 12:30, but I think it was a 10 a.m. game. So it's so astonishing to me how that one single day of gathering up the courage to go and do this thing that I had wanted to do has given me more than a decade of memories that continue. They're still continuing. I was silent the whole time. And then I don't know if I had they noticed like I finished eating and I was still there watching the game. I don't know how, but one of the individuals, he is the most positive, jovial, welcoming person you can ever meet. He has welcomed more people into the EFC NYC group than I think we can count at this point. He, after the game, he started talking to me from the other end of the bar too. He didn't come over yet, but he started talking, just asking questions. And he must have realized, like, I must have looked like a deer in the headlights. I must have looked terrified. I can only imagine. But he did. He talked to me, and then the others started talking to me and getting the story, like who they were, who I was, how we were Everton fans. Was it my first time there? They hadn't seen me before. Obviously, it was my first time there. Like, just talking. And then, are you going to come back for another? So we'll see you at the next one. And I didn't know if I could make it to every game. So I said, maybe, it might not be the next one, but yeah, I plan to come back. This summer, obviously, Everton is coming over to the US, and they're playing in New Jersey. They're playing in Chicago, which is the closest one to where I live in Iowa, and they're playing in Atlanta. And I know that there will likely be New York City Evertonians at probably at all 3 of the games, but definitely at the New Jersey one, and here in Chicago, they'll be there. I have been on many trips where I've met EFC NYCers. In 2022, I think it was, they came over and they played in Minnesota. It's only like a 5-6 hour drive from me. And so I drove up there and met them at the game and hung out with them, and we had a great time, In 2021, I think it was the Florida, the Carabo Cup. There were 2 games there, and a bunch of us met up and had a good time and watched the games. And I've been to Philly and DC one year. I went to Chicago. I'm like, I feel like I've been other places. Then when I go to England, sometimes we've either been at the same game but might not have met up, but we're able to talk about it afterwards, or, through EFC NYC, we've gotten to know other people from other supporters clubs as well, and we'll meet them at games. I went to Everton v Fulham with members of the Boston Evertonians, and that would never, ever, ever have happened, ever, if I had not got the courage And it was a lot of courage that I needed that day to get on a train, because I lived in Jersey City. I took the PATH train in, then took the subway up from, well, I think the PATH train stops semi-close. But if not, I had to get on the subway to come up from the PATH train from World Trade Center. And then walk a block and a half from where I got off the train to the bar, and then enter it and not turn around and walk out immediately. Like, it sounds so silly, and I feel like I'm sounding dramatic, but it was dramatic to me at the time. Now I'm like, I want to go to Texas Roadhouse, and I'm going to go with, okay, I'll go. I don't care. Sometimes I sit at the bar, sometimes I get a table. Now, to be fair, it's an hour away, so I don't really go there that often. I'll go to the diner. There's a diner in town my dad and I love, and very tasty food, as most diners have very tasty food. And I will say there is a new place in town. It's a brewery, and they have a lovely looking menu. And I just haven't, it's not that I'm not like scared to go. I just haven't had a reason to. And then on the few times when I've been like, oh, I do want to try something new, I think one time my car was broken down. Another time it was like a snowstorm, and I'm like, I'm not driving in that. Like, it's just been silly things that I'm like, I'll go another time. Maybe when my dad visits, I'll take him to that, because I think he might like to go there. That would be a fun choice. But yeah, I'm not afraid anymore the way I was when I was younger. And I think that there is a great gratitude for those initial men that I met that day. They were all men. There were no women that day. There is an immense gratitude that they were so welcoming. None of them made me feel, at least I don't remember this, I don't remember any of them making me feel like I had to prove that I was a real Evertonian. Some people will make women like, oh, you like football, really? They make you prove it, and I have nothing to prove. I have absolutely nothing to prove to any of you that I am an Evertonian and that I understand soccer/football, and that I don't need you to explain it to me. I don't, and I don't need to prove it to you. And I don't remember them ever making me feel that way. And it could have gone a whole different way. It could have been very uninviting. It could have been very accusatory, like, why are you even here if you don't have a boyfriend, you don't like football, like, you're just a girl, right? It could have been that very stereotypical reaction that a lot of women unfortunately do encounter when they are a sports fan. And it just figured I'd talk about it today. The simplest thing of smiling at someone and saying, so you enjoyed the game, or something like that. That was it. That was it that brought me in to their little group. No questions asked. You're an Everton fan. You're here. Did you enjoy the game? And now, well more than a decade later, all these memories. If we have the opportunity to make someone feel like that, and it costs us practically nothing, I hope we notice that chance, that opportunity, and I hope we take it. And I include myself in that. I hope that I have given that same simple welcome to people over the years, because it is so powerful, and it can be so life-changing to people when you have no idea how life-changing it could be, that what they're going through, what it means to have been accepted in such a simple way. If you made it this far, thank you. If you have ever visited any of the U.S. supporters clubs, if you're from any of the U.S. supporters clubs, let me know. I'd love to have comments and hear from you. And if you are in EFC NYC or planning on visiting New York City, look up the New York City Evertonians Facebook group, and we'll make sure you have the bar information for Turnmill. And yeah, we'll get you everything you need to know where to go. You'll have a good night now. Be kind to yourself.